Hey everybody, welcome to another Double Tap on YouTube. I am Stephen Scott.
And I am Shaun Preece. Hello.
Oh, hello, Shaun. How are you?
Oh, what, you weren't expecting me perhaps, Stephen? I am very well, thank you. How are you, sir?
I'm so wrapped up inside my own thoughts that I didn't even consider you.
Terrifying. What a terrifying place to be.
Absolutely. Listen, today we're going to continue talking about CSUN, of course. It all wrapped up over in Anaheim just recently, and this was a 39th event, and quite an incredible turn of events as well. Lots of interesting technology on display being talked about. With us to go into this in more depth and detail is Michael Babcock, who's back with us. Michael Babcock's back on the show. Hello,
Hey!
Michael.
Hello, I wasn't sure what I was going to do without the applause this time, so appreciate it.
There you go. We don't have the actual applause on YouTube because that costs extra. We will get a copyright strike from the applauding people.
But they can't copyright you from applauding yourself, right?
I don't think they can. No.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Not
They'll
yet.
try.
No, absolutely. Listen, lots to talk about with CSUN. Obviously, you're on with us over on The Daily Show where we're having a chat about CSUN and all your experiences and some great content that you captured as well. So if you haven't had a chance to listen to the podcast where we talk about CSUN with Michael, go check that out wherever you get your podcasts. But today I just thought we'd maybe, because that's what we do over here on YouTube, Michael. We chill. We kick back. We relax. It's all very, and a bit kind of like, ooh, and a bit kind of, ah. So with that in mind...
I don't know what he's talking about, Michael. Please, ignore.
This was your first CSUN, right? It was your first CSUN. And what were you expecting from it?
I was expecting big crowds because that's what everyone said. Oh, this is going to be a place where it's going to be busy. I was not expecting the size of crowd that I experienced. It was a lot more people than I was anticipating. And at a couple of times, I got a little overwhelmed. I was using Ira to help me find the door to get out of the exhibit hall. And it was funny because we kept finding these doors. So I'd open the door and they'd be like, nope, this is another service area. Nope, this is another service area. By the third time, I'm like, all right, I'm just going to chill here for a little bit just to get my bearings. And then I'll just go back into the hall and see what I can find then.
So this would be a good way to test Ira's capabilities, right? Because I guess everybody was on using Ira. So if you couldn't get through to anyone at Ira for a little while, it was probably because CSUN was happening.
That would be my guess.
Yeah. It's the Hotel California. You can never leave. That's the trouble.
Between Good Maps and Ira, though, I was able to navigate that hotel pretty confidently. I used the Indoor Explorer, I think it's called, by Good Maps, and I hadn't ever played with this before. It works really interestingly. You open the app and then it tells you pan your phone from left to right with the back-facing camera facing outwards, and that would work just fine. And then I would be standing there moving my phone around, like just trying to get it to capture onto a signal, kind of like in the olden days when you were just trying to get a satellite signal from the antenna. And I don't know how many times people come up to me and be like, do you need some help? I'm like, no, I'm okay. I'm trying this new app out. So if I had one complaint, it would be, please figure out how to connect to your location a little bit faster than some instances, 30 to 45 seconds. But I was able to use that, and then it would ask me, where do you want to go? And I would tap on, the exhibit hall, or I'd tap on nearest restroom or nearest elevator. And then it would tell me, walk 20 feet, turn left, walk 15 feet, slight right, and gave me those details. And for the most part, it was pretty accurate. I was kind of impressed. And where it wasn't accurate, I would just open Ira and call them. And Good Maps does have Be My Eyes integration, so you can call Be My Eyes representative. But I just used Ira because it was there.
That is so cool. That's something I think we're still sort of waiting on, is that indoor navigation, right? But I'm guessing then that the Good Maps is it's almost preloaded with the location, right? They've set this up in advance.
Yeah, they had to go and record pretty much, and I don't know the technical terms for it. It's a more casual show, so I don't have to know all those words.
No.
But they had to go
relaxed.
pretty much video the inside of the hotel and map that in their system. So they did have, I think there's 5 or 6 locations in the U.S., so it's definitely not widely available, and that's why I was excited to try it out there.
Yeah, it feels like it would be so cool if that was something that could almost map itself as you go along. Or and I guess maybe people themselves can do this. I mean, we've seen apps that do this. Seeing AI has it built in now, where you can almost map. I mean, it's good for mapping, say, for example, going from a reception in a hotel lobby up to your room.
Right.
Although you tried that, Shaun, and I think that was a complete disaster, wasn't it?
Yes, hit and miss. Yeah, Clue has been the best so far, but Seeing AI was the easiest to actually set up. Just pretty much like Michael was describing there with Good Maps. You just look around you, basically, with the rear-facing camera. So that was cool, but Clue is very nice as well. It just seems like we need all these technologies together to make the perfect app.
But it's you said overwhelmed. I guess it's the number of people. And it was interesting because when you were on with us on Access Tech Live talking about this experience, Mark Aflalo said to you, hey, it's not CES numbers. But that was such an interesting comment, actually, because you were talking 120,000 people versus 3,600 people. You would think, well, okay, yes, numbers-wise, a lot less. But like you said, and I think quite rightly, we're talking here about canes, guide dogs, and the majority are blind people. So everyone's trying to get around. I remember my own experience at an NFB convention, and exactly that. Being sort of trapped inside. And I actually thought at one point, I'm never going to get out of this cane mangle that I've just got myself into. I think I came home with 2 extra canes and a dog that I didn't even own because there was just so much entanglement going on. And it can get a little bit overwhelming, can't it?
In the sensory overload. So I am not a go to a party, have music up loud, individual, because when I want to have a conversation with someone, I want to actually be able to hear them. There was a lot of instances where I found it to be difficult to hear people. And I'm a fairly social person. I texted my wife and I said, man, I'm feeling like I'm antisocial right now. She said, you are the most social person I know. What do you mean? And it's because I shut down when environments get loud because I don't know what's going on. And I think there were some potentially missed opportunities there. But again, you got to go with where you're comfortable too.
That's so true. That almost, I call it the sports hall effect. That sort of echoey, crowded noise, it just becomes overwhelming. I can relate to that so much.
All of this being said, I will go back next year, and I hope to see both of you there because it was a fun experience.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because, I'm thinking about going next year. So, it's the 40th year, right, for CSUN, so a big event for them, obviously. It's a great opportunity to go and to catch up with my people, the blind people. Rock on. I think it's, well, I don't know what else to say, right? Let's go with that. But I think it's a great opportunity to catch up with people, find out what's going on. It is, the social aspect is, I think, the biggest thing, which is interesting because considering what you've just said, the reason a lot of people go to CSUN is for exactly those meetings, to catch up with people. And those incidental conversations. You were talking, and I hope I'm not speaking outside of school here, but you were talking about a product, and the person who had created the product walked up behind you and said, hello.
Hello, are you talking about the product that I made? And we're like, yes, we were. It also gave me an opportunity to join some betas. Like there was Envision, I'll mention that one, the Envision Assistant. I don't think I would have actually gotten on that beta if I wasn't live in person to be able to connect with them because there are limited seats. So you get those opportunities that maybe you would have missed out on just by watching the news.
So what's your recommendation when it comes to going to something like this? You've been there once and you've done other events. You've been to lots of different events like the NFBs and the ACB events in America and so on. But what's in your kit bag when you go? What are you taking with you? What are you thinking about? What are you thinking that maybe you should have taken with you this year that would have helped you
So on camera, I'm holding up a accessible portable power bank, 10,000 milliamp, because it slips right into my pocket. Connected to that is my Zoom H1E. I'll probably upgrade this to the 4 or the 6. I used to never be a record where I'm at, but I have some recordings that will never see the light of day, at least for the most part, but they're for memory purposes. Like, this was me on the airplane. There's no need for anyone to hear that, but I have become one of those people who just capture random recordings because who knows how my memory will be in a couple of years and if I'll remember the experience. So that's pretty good. I bring my iPhone. I actually brought the Samsung phone today and did not pull it out of my, or this time, and did not pull it out of my backpack. Nothing against Samsung. It's just the iPhone always worked for me. And then I need to find a good to-go microphone that I can use because I was using the MacBook Air microphone. So I did bring the MacBook Air. Longtime listeners know that I thought for a very brief period of time last year I was going to run around with a big power bank and a Mac Mini. Glad that my wife talked me out of that.
We all talked you out of that, Michael. It was a terrible
everyone
idea.
did. Everyone did. And then the Apple Watch. I take that and I have just press record on it again for that capturing information. Maybe I don't have the Zoom H1E ready. I just tap the screen and then just press record in the bottom left corner, and all of a sudden I'm capturing recordings, and it's actually a pretty decent microphone.
Wow, so there's the CSUN survival kit. That was hard to say. But that's all to do with actually recording audio. Well, mostly there. And it's very interesting. Of course, the iPhone. I mean, you could almost replace all of that with just your iPhone, couldn't you? iPhone and a battery charger, all you need. But was there? And what about the hotel experience?
The hotel experience was pretty decent. I will say, find a roommate so you don't have to pay the outrageous prices for the hotel. Thankfully, that was the opportunity for me. So I had a roommate, and he's like, "Yeah, feel free to crash in my room. I got no problem with that." So that was fun. Yeah, the hotel experience was great. I did not use it this time, but it was a Marriott hotel, and Marriott uses their electronic keys, so you can sign into the Marriott app and then just touch the back of your phone against the lock on your door, and then it unlocks your door, so you don't even have to fiddle with plastic keys, and that's been handy. And then if you're a Braille reader, or at least someone who can read Braille numbers, that can be helpful when there's Braille on the doors. And there's a lot of hotel rooms, so.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, that's very good.
It's interesting, actually, because we've signed up to the Marriott point scheme because we've been staying at a Marriott recently. And I thought, well, why not? Sign up. It's always the same. Do you want to sign up? Do you want to get points? Yeah, okay, fine.
Yeah.
And
Track
they were
where I
talking...
stay.
Yeah, and exactly. And also, like you say, there's these added benefits, but I didn't see any of that in the UK, sadly. So that's something that might be the case abroad, and so maybe rolling out across America, because I'd heard some interesting stories about what Marriott has been doing. There's maybe a story to be told here as well about the work Marriott is doing around accessibility as well. The thing is that, and I think what Shaun's alluding to here is that in the room, we often have the problem where, you have an air conditioning unit that you can't access or control.
Yes.
In my case, I want it as cold as humanly possible. I want to have a polar bear wearing a jacket in the corner in my room. That's how cold I want it to be.
I just mash at the buttons and see what happens, yes.
Well, that didn't work in Vienna, did it? Because I came into your room and I thought I'd walked into some kind of tropical rainforest.
I know, yes. I think I said it the opposite way I should have, yes. But that's
I
what
used
I mean.
Ira when I was in DC
Exactly.
a couple of weeks ago, and the gotcha was I was pushing all the buttons on the thermostat, and there was a thermostat on the wall, and the Ira agent's like, nothing's happening. I don't know what's going on. And then the next day I was talking to someone. I'm like, I don't know how to turn the heat down in my room. The thermostat's broken. They're like, oh, no, you got to turn it down on the radiator itself. And that was something that I wasn't aware of. And then Ira helped me find that. But, visual interpretation service is just that, a visual interpretation service. They're not going to tell you how to do stuff. They'll just tell you what they're seeing.
And I think, it's interesting because I feel I say this a lot on the show. I say, I just got Ira to do this. And I do. That's what I do. But I sometimes think that's not good enough either, is it? Because Ira is not cheap. It's not a cheap service to use. No. Be My Eyes is good, of course, because it's free. But, you're kind of relying on volunteers to try and, suddenly become air conditioning engineers. The hope that maybe one or two, maybe that's what it is. Maybe we have to divide up the volunteers into categories. Air conditioning experts.
Engineers. Yes.
That's an idea for Mike Buckley. Get that idea going. We've got all these categories in there. Well, let's get some categories for the volunteers. Do you know that's not actually a bad idea? Now I think about it. There's something in that that's quite cool. But yeah, I mean, this is the problem, right? You're kind of relying on people. It's funny, isn't it? With all the technology we have, we're still relying on other people. The technology gets us only so far. And weirdly, for right now anyway, to get something done, the technology is disconnecting us with someone else. That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I think, though, that it's just that I still find it a little bit frustrating when I stay in a hotel and the TV isn't accessible at all, and the thermostat isn't, and the radio isn't. The last one we stayed at had a cool little tablet on the bedside table. Totally inaccessible, by the way.
I tried turning TalkBack on because I knew it was an Android. Oh, I assumed it was an Android.
Assumed
tablet.
it was, yes.
It was something running Linux. But
you should call Matt Aira and tell him where you stayed and that they need to use their JAWS for Android to make that tablet accessible.
Absolutely, that's a good point.
But the thing is, the point I'm making is that hotels are pretty good when it comes to technology. They are actually pretty up with it. But when it comes to accessibility, it never seems to be quite hitting the mark for me.
Wouldn't it be great, though, if these companies actually invested in even the Amazon Echo with a screen, right? You could talk to it. If you're deaf, you can still see the response. You can interact with it that way. The accessibility tools are kind of built into a device like that, and it's got the capability to connect with the devices in a room. To me, that would be the smartest approach. It feels like they're always trying to reinvent the wheel, and it's already there. Why not do that? So that could be interesting. I think it's, I'm not sure of the hotel chain, maybe it's Disney generally, but I know Disney have been bringing these devices into the rooms, but it's more about the entertainment, I think, for the kids, rather than being a way of controlling the room, is it? I think.
Yeah, well, Disney have branded some Echo Kids smart speakers, haven't they? That's why. So it makes sense. But you're absolutely right. I mean, lots of the TVs have accessibility built in, but the thing is, of course, that all this is wired directly into the hotel's media service, whatever that may be. And of course, that's not accessible. Some front end that's totally inaccessible. So it's when they try and make it proprietary to that hotel chain where accessibility just seems to get lost. And yeah, I agree. I think it's a real shame.
And there's some room there. I went to a hotel with my wife a couple of months ago, and when we walked in, she said, "Oh, that's kind of cool. It says, 'Hi, Mallory,' and tells her, 'Have a good day,' and gives all that visual feedback that as a completely blind user, you may have never even known was available on there." I've also been to a hotel that has a TV in the bathroom mirror, too, which is a little strange, but, that's where we're going with this. So the technologies in hotels has the potential to make an amazingly accessible experience.
And also, it just makes it a more comfortable experience for all of us. You don't want to have that moment where you walk into a hotel room and you think, I can't control the air conditioning, I can't control the temperature in this room. That can make the whole thing just very uncomfortable, and it just highlights the problem, doesn't it? It just highlights the issues. Listen, you're talking about the Marriott Hotel. That is where CSUN is held. I believe it's going to be held in the same location next time round for 2025. I have to ask you the one final question, because this is the question that seems to dog everybody who goes to CSUN. Did you meet Stevie Wonder?
No, I did not physically meet Stevie Wonder.
We got the one guy, Shaun, who didn't meet him.
Yep.
Everyone else met Stevie, went out for a coffee with him.
But I wanted to respect him. You guys know this, being famous talents that you are, that, sometimes you just want to go to an event and go eat your dinner and not be bothered.
I never have that problem. I will say, though, I got to tell you one quick story right before we go. One quick story.
Oh, wait.
I remember, you remember this, Shaun, because I think you were with me at this. You were. We were at Sight Village in somewhere in the UK, and we were sitting at breakfast, and I had ordered an apple juice. And about 10 minutes later, I get a tweet mentioning me saying, "Wow, I didn't know that Stephen Scott didn't just buy Apple products, he drinks them as well." And I thought, someone in this room is observing what I'm buying and tweeting about. They're live tweeting my breakfast. I have to say, I scaled back my breakfast that morning for shame purposes only. Listen, Michael, do come back soon, because I want to talk more, and maybe we'll get you back for the next video, because I want to ask you specifically about a robot dog. We talked about it on air. It fascinates me, and I think it raises a big question mark around how these devices can help people. And Shaun just wants to laugh at me for even bringing this up. So we'll get to that in the next video, okay? So come back again next time, okay?
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Okay. Thanks, Michael. And keep in touch as well. Feedback at doubletaponair.com. If you want to, you can comment below. And, of course, you can continue watching these videos by subscribing. And, if you like them, then like them. But do remember, if you like them, we will make more. So you are warned. Bye-bye.
Bye.